Local Bodies, Municipal Act, the Uniform Civil Code, and the Forest Conservation Act Amendment Bill. The meeting was attended by all the invitees, meaning the tribal hohos, indigenous to the state, and apex tribal bodies also, the CNTC, the Teneme Union Nagaland, and the ENPO. So everybody participated in the consultative meeting, and they have shared their opinions and made their submissions covering all the three subjects. We were fortunate to have our learned counsel, the Advocate General of our state, Mr. Balgopal, who had extensively dwelt on these three subjects from the legal point of view and the constitutional perspective of where we stand on these three issues. It was a meeting which has cleared the fog which was looming over us on both sides, on the state government's part, as well as the response and the stand of our tribal hosts. So, after lengthy deliberations, we're glad to inform the people of the state that we have reached a consensus on the three major subjects, which were actually earlier dogging us. And we were otherwise heading for a headlong collision for which we have taken so much time to avoid such a situation. And finally, by God's grace, we have a consensus, and we will be moving ahead to prepare for the assembly session due on the 11th of September, where the necessary formalities will be observed by the state legislature.
So can you please elaborate consensus?
I will go subject-wise then. The Uniform Civil Code, as you have seen earlier, this is a contentious bill which was already laid in the Parliament in 2020. And the objective and the reasons are clearly stated. In short, they want to have uniformity for all religious groups in this country, with a single law which will be applicable to every individual, and the system will be streamlined, cutting across religious sections. Now here, there are areas where many apprehensions have been raised by different religious groups that it may infringe on their religious practices. So besides others, the Christians, being a Christian majority state, our people have been very apprehensive that our ways of practicing any religious rituals or observing the rules of certain religions will be obstructed. or will be opposed in ideology and practices also. So you have seen through the press, many groups and individuals have already voiced their opinion on this UCC. You remember the state government also have made a representation to the 22nd Law Commission stating our background, the socio-political background of our people, and that the 371A, that is the constitutional provision regarding our state, guarantees that no act of parliament in reference to our social and religious practices will be infringed upon. So basing on that, the state government have made it very clear on behalf of the people of the state that this is not acceptable to us. So in the like manner, today, all cutting across different tribes and CSOs, they have endorsed that same stand, and they wish that this should be passed as a resolution in the coming State Assembly. That is one. The other is the Forest Conservation Act. The latest amendment of 2023 is a stand which is an approach which cannot be accepted by our people also. So it again goes back to the Article 371A, where the Constitution of India guarantees that the ownership and the land resources shall belong to the people of Nagaland. So this is, as I was saying, not the government of Nagaland, nor the government of India. And as it is, we have more than 95% of our forest land belongs to individuals and communities. The state government as such may have hardly 5% or less to its credit. So the will of the people stands out. Here too, it is in one unison that they have expressed this extension of 100 kilometers from the international borders into our state will not be accepted. And because the land and the forest belongs to us, this is our decision, and the same should also be in the coming assembly taken up as a decision and passed as a resolution of the people through the state assembly. That is the second. The third is the ULB elections, urban local bodies elections, which was repealed on the 28th of March this year by the State Assembly. And the government has been assuring that it will lose no time in bringing about a new act, an act of our own for the municipal councils. That is under preparation. Today, the draft proposal could not be brought to the consultative meeting because it is under serious review, and it will have to undergo the scrutiny of the cabinet, the government, and the panel which has been formed also. And with further consultations before the State Assembly starts, the final draft will be prepared. But it was extensively deliberated, and the 33% reservation bill for women's has been more or less accepted by one and all, that it is it will be okay if we have the reservation and conduct the elections. So the other areas where in matters like exclusion, omission, deletion of certain words like tax, which actually does not go down well with our people. So those will be rectified, and it will be presented in a different way, where the people should understand that whatever fees or in the forms of donations will be collected from the people, the citizens of those wards falling under the municipalities or the town councils will remain with them. This will not come onto the state's exchequer. So after these explanations and with many suggestions, very good suggestions from them, the final touches to this draft will be made, and we will be bringing the new law for enactment to the Assembly this coming September 11th. So those were the areas which were extensively discussed, and our learned counsel, the Advocate General, has given a very, very clear picture about the present situation where we are in, and he has also outlined certain opinions and suggestions which the government may follow while trying to achieve all these issues. Yeah.
Sir, for this women reservation, even in 2023, the people accepted it, but later on they retracted and they started saying that we have not accepted it, we did not accept it. So now again today you are saying that it has been accepted, but whether this will be truly accepted.
There is no reason to doubt whatever they have stated today. Maybe back then, a few years back, within themselves, the respective tribes also did not have enough time to deliberate on this issue properly. But after giving them time and the consequences that we might face also, and trying on the other side, trying to keep pace with the world, they have come to understand that for us too, as a trial, we may experiment this 33% reservation for a certain period of time, and it can be reviewed after a decade also. So these were the various suggestions they have made, and there are many other things which they were also critical about, for which the doubts have been removed, and the panel, which will be sitting to give the final touches, have taken note of all their suggestions. So after addressing these grievances, it should be okay. They will not backtrack.
So whether this will go back, as you were saying, the final draft is in the process. So before going to the assembly, whether this will be given to the public for review?
We may not as such give it out to the public, but the concerned tribal hohos and the individuals who have raised these issues may be consulted again if it is all right with them, if such rectifications are made. So it will be in consonance and with the consent of all our tribal hohos.
Sir, one question is that out of the 22 listed tribal bodies, ex-tribal bodies and civil society organizations, we are seeing that there is not even a single woman representative in a consultative meeting, especially concerning the ULB while discussing on the 33% reservation. Is there any reason why no, like the women organizations were invited for today's meeting?
There is no such particular reason. You can see here, for instance, the serial number 1. The President, Central Nagaland Tribes Council, and 3 representatives. We did not specify whether male or female. So it was at their discretion whether to bring the women folks or not. On our side, we had no restrictions.
Sir, also did the House deliberate on the re-entry matter, as I think there's a formal, informal talks between the this?
Yes, it figured, not as a subject today, but on the sidelines of these issues, concerns were raised whether the government could be a little more transparent on the ENPO issue also. How is the deliberation or the talks going on? To what level it has reached? It would be good if these things are also shared with them. So this is a matter which the government will take it up with the civil societies and our tribals as and when the right time comes.
Regarding this Forest Conservation Amendment Act, there after the bill was kind of passed in the Parliament, the social media and some old notifications were circulating, especially regarding Nagaland, saying that it was a Supreme Court order, saying that these forest covers and land cannot be given to under the people, it will be taken over. This kind of thing was passed in 1970 something.
Yes, you can say.
So, in this regard, like there are some facts which I think could be shared also here. And as early as in 1986, the government of Nagaland, through a notification, had mandated that the provisions of Forest Conservation Act 1980 shall be applicable only to the government reserve forest and such other forests and wildlife sanctuaries under the control of the state government. So it was meant to be applicable only to government reserve forests and forests which are under control of state government. But these provisions thus became never applicable to private and community owned forests. And in Nagaland, in our state, about 95% are owned by private and community. Government owns only 5% of the government 5%. So it remained under all these areas, all these forests always remained outside the purview of FCA. Subsequently, of course, there was a Supreme Court order where, I think you are referring to that, Supreme order where it expanded the definition of forest, that it should go by one should go with the dictionary meaning. So that way the ambit got expanded, but even then, after that, we never applied FCA provisions for private and community land. So the situation for us has been very clear that the Forest Conservation Act is not applicable to private and community, and we have been all throughout maintaining that position. That 1986 notification was issued that we have never modified. Even in the present amendments also, where one would say that the definition has again gone back to what it was earlier, that it is only for the government forest and area. So the same thing, I mean the position, it has gone back to what it was before that Supreme Court, that definition where it had defined forest, increased the ambit. And so the private and community forests even now continue to remain outside the purview. But in the discussion, since a lot of concerns have been raised and there have been serious views also made on this, so a decision was there, or the feeling is there that this matter should be brought to the assembly also, where it could be further looked into. And if need be, if the assembly in its wisdom feels so, a resolution, a suitable resolution could also be passed. In this meeting, our learned Advocate General also spoke in detail about this act, covered many points, and his view was also that this could be looked into by the Assembly, and to ensure that the matter is clarified once for all and put to rest, Assembly could look into it, and if the Assembly members decide so, it could be, a resolution could also be passed.
The applicability of Article 371, if we remember correctly, when we tried to form this oil and natural gas rules and regulation, that time the central government had flatly refused and rejected it. So now again, if we try to apply this on this FCAA, if we try to apply this, will it be applicable? Will it be acceptable?
For your information, like once the central government has also held that FCA will be applicable to Nagaland. I mean, there was some correspondence late during 1988. So at that time, this position was maintained, but then we never applied. And there was nothing like central government also forcing us or asking us to do that. That opinion was given, But Nagaland, we have continued with our position that it is not applicable to us, and we have been maintaining the same position.
So that's why like now again if we try to apply this applicability 71, whether this will protect us like the oil and natural gas rules and regulations which were rejected by the central government, whether the same situation will arise again.
It will continue to protect us because you are reading Article 379, notwithstanding anything in the Constitution, no act of Parliament is to be applicable to us unless the state government in assembly decides so. And this matter pertains to land and its resources, and forests are very much the resources, the land resources. So the position is very clear, and I think once the matter is taken in the assembly, the things will be clarified and everything will be, all the concerns will be allayed.
I'll add something here. Media, the fourth estate, plays a very important role in educating the citizens. You orchestrate, the mind of the citizens. So here, it is a shared equal responsibility of the government as well as our media friends. Article 371A is a guarantee to the people of the state of Nagaland, a constitutional guarantee. We don't speak about it, and we have also slowly forgotten our own rights. So it is quite natural that the people who gave us this special status and these guarantees will conveniently forget what they have committed as a guarantee in their own constitution. So here, what transpired in the oil and natural gas area is still a controversy. But I assure you that ultimately now, with this FCA, with the ULB, with the UCC, the present leaders of the country and the honorable learned councils in the highest courts are realizing our constitutional position, which gives us the right to repeal even central laws, and the acts passed by them in the parliament are not applicable in our state unless the state assembly decides by a resolution. The latest example is our ULB. No state in India has the powers to repeal a central law, central act. We did it this time. The apprehension of many people was the court will say, nothing doing, you reinstate the Principal Act of 2001. Why did you repeal? How do you repeal a central law? That would be the question. But the fact that they have asked us now not to waste time and as early as possible enact a new law for the urban local bodies, the Municipal Act, itself speaks volumes. What do you understand when they say you enact as early as possible a new law? Means they have accepted that we are vested with the powers to repeal a central act. Our state has got that powers. So now, going back to ONGC, oil and natural gas, this exploration issue, they will slowly realize. In 2011, the union minister concerned himself have stated in the parliament that yes, we have the right to enact our own laws and that the land and resources belongs to the people, so automatically to the state. Later on, they referred it to the Law and Justice Ministry. Things started going wrong from there. They have manipulated, so they stalled the proceedings further. So it is still there. We are not giving it up. And in fact, this was one issue which has come up today also, like ENPO. It came up But now we assure that we will take up all this slowly. In the Forest Act, universally one would view it that this is anti-conversion, it is anti-preservation, whereas the original principal act of the Forest Conservation Act of 1980 states that it is to protect, to go for afforestation, to preserve and expand forestry in this country. Now, the latest amendment is very contrary to the spirit of that particular act. It is for destruction, it is for deforestation, and it is for activities other than afforestation. So, how can we accept that? So in the past, though we might have been silent on 1980's Principal Act on forests, this time we may have to go back many decades and review this stand of the government and see what best we can do. But to start with, it is certain that we are going to move a resolution not to accept the latest amendment. That is clear. And in the CAMPA, the Compensatory Afforestation Management Act of 2016, I will share with you the copies. You will see that only Puducherry, Nagaland, and Lakswadweep, only these three states did not receive any compensation or any grants under that scheme, which have managed to gather about 40,000 crores. The distribution list I will give you. So Lakswadweep is an island. Puducherry also is a coastal state which does not have forest land. But Nagaland, with so much forestry here, starting from Peren to KOHIMA to Zileboto, Peg, Kifri to Exang, now Shamato, now this Noklak, and some parts of to Exang and more also. We have forests, standing forests. Compared to us, Manipur has less, but they received about nearly 400 crores. Assam has only regenerated forests. They received about 291 crores. Our next door neighbor, Arunachal, received 1,000 plus crores. So why were we excluded? They said that we don't fall under the purview of that scheme because the resources belong to the people. So while giving something else, while wanting to take, it's another thing. This dual stand of the center cannot go down well with us. I'll give the course.
Sir, as a former minister here, we would like a comment from you regarding the whole Nagaland Electrical Association. They have been going on for education, it is not suspended. But one to hear from you, what is the progress from the department and from the board bodies regarding this issue?
Yes, there was a slight miscommunication within them. So the day before, after the issue was settled, the next day again the paper headlines carried that their agitation has started, which they regretted. And I think this morning's paper, in the front page, they have clarified that the matter is solved. It was to do with the nomenclature of O&MS, Operation and Maintenance Staff. You are aware very well about the ban being imposed for appointment or creation of posts, a blanket ban over all the departments in the state. But for the two departments of Nagaland, that is the PHE and the power departments, we are a service providing department. So our department works 24/7. There is no such thing as come at 10, go home at 3. or no duty on Sundays or other holidays. So, so the government, after understanding that these are utmost important services provided for provision of the state citizen, they have made some relaxations. But if we use the same old nomenclature, it may have some contradictions with the government's previous orders. So the government agreed that we will use a new nomenclature, which should be called the Operation and Maintenance Staff, ONMS. So under that, there was a little hiccup within the departments itself. And so for want of more clarity, it was being held up. And that was when our field staffs got apprehensive that their cases may not be considered. But after realizing now it is clear, everything will be all right. Okay?
Sir, is there any possibility whether the revised land laws will be tabled in the upcoming election session?
So the cabinet will decide.
I think
Land laws.
former Minister Dimakono was working on it and it was likely to be...
You mean the Sarfasi Act?
No, sir,
Huh? Land reforms. Well, I think whatever should go to the Assembly will be first discussed by the Cabinet. Here, our advisor, Land Review, may know more about it, yeah. But it will come to the Cabinet, yeah. Yes.
For giving me the time. I'm going back to the topics which we discussed today in the consultative meeting. We had three main topics that were at length explained by our spokesperson in NDPP. But to supplement to what he has already said, this supplementary is coming out of what we discussed today and what I learned from today. That is number one is our ULB. ULB, apparently every society, every council present today have agreed to acceptance of 33% reservation for women, but not beyond that. That is to the extent of chairperson to be earmarked for the women representative. That was not included in the discussion today. And rather it was ruled out. Then, about the women reservation, that was the main point of discussion. And yes, this ULB election matter has been in the form of a hassle for so many years. And that there were so many ups and downs from the civil society side, objection, suggestion, from the government side also, undecisive. Like that, so many controversies and confusion were there, but apparently today all this has been resolved today. But the clear term will come up in the form of black and white from the government side. Today is only just our discussion. So, to supplement to what he said, that is all about ULB from my side, and about our Uniform Civil Code. Uniform Civil Code, this is also, we Nagas are protected by Article 371A of the Constitution of India. All today's topics are discussed under Article 371A only. We are so lucky that we are protected by this Article 371A in all these other matters related to Article 371A. So today, as we learned from our meeting, some government official in the capacity of our Honorable Chief Minister He, along with the cabinet, went to Delhi. They had a discussion on this UCC with the central authority, and in clear terms, our Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah ji, he happily informed the cabinet team that this UCC will not be applicable to the tribes of Nagaland. Let me talk about Nagaland only. So that means it is almost clear. But this also, the formal official document has to be away there. Then about our Forest Amendment Act, that is also same as our oil and natural gas exploration. I believe it is a common sense that we are well protected by the Article 371A, that under Clause 4 it says, land and its resources. Land and its resources. Its resources, the common meaning is whatever are there on the ground, or the ground. So be it oil or this forest or any other material that are available in our state of Nagaland belongs to us, and they cannot be taken away by anybody until and unless our assembly so decides to do so. So these are some very meaningful points that I'm sharing with you as per what I learned from our meeting today. And in our meeting today, it is very fruitful, very conclusive today, and in a very happy note and mood. We all had our gathering, plus our lunch happily like that, and I have never experienced or seen a consultative meeting so successful as today. Thank you.
Good.
Sir, before the MPs were present in the meeting,
Unfortunately, maybe they have some other engagements. Otherwise, we have invited them. They were both absent today. Yeah.
Now I think we please have your refreshments.
One last thing. Our Chief Minister winded up the meeting today, and he has dwelt on all these three subjects and has covered many other areas also, which the tribal Hohos leaders wanted to know. So he gave a detailed explanation on the fears and apprehensions of our people and the stand and the approach of the center. And basing on our Advocate General's statement and explanations, he, at the end, showed us where we clearly stand in regards to these issues. And he had also spelled out the mind of the state government clearly, that knowing fully well the consequences we were going to face, the legal battles that we had in front of us, and how he was pulled up, the Chief Secretary and his staff's subordinate colleagues were pulled up, our legal team, AG, and his colleagues were pulled up by the highest court in our country, knowing fully well, being fully aware, yet the government took one drastic step to repeal the Act, a central law which is the first of its kind in the history of this country. So for the first time, I think, a chief minister of any government in our state has been so bold, courageous, to take a step basing on the legal provisions under Article 371A. And this has brought to light many, many facts which were kept buried for 60 years, 59 years, 60 years running now. We had it with us all along, but no other chief minister ever dared to to try and test the waters. So this time, he has done it under his leadership. This government has done it. This House, the 14 House have done it. And we are now confident as to where we stand. And we are sure that the other issues which are confronting us now, if handled in the same way and with unity among our people. Unity, he has stressed again and again, unity of our people, nothing is impossible. That was what he has stressed at length. And the cooperation of the people, we always envisage, the people's interest is the government's interest. It is the people who elected us, so the government will not go against the interests and the wishes of our people. That's the bottom line.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just had lunch. 이뚜뚜 가보? 가보나 해. You have this? You have? Okay. No.